Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So what I'll do, I will briefly talk about these things, right? The difference between files, CRM content, knowledge, documents, attachment. The reason why I wanted to cover, you might get an odd question here and there about this topic, especially around the sizing and the capability, right? So it's kind of important to know, even though you might think, it's a very simple topic, right? I can deal with it, but I mean, it's my responsibility to cover this as a part of the certification, so I'm just doing with it. If you think that you know about this, you might as well go and do something else. But if you think you have never dealt with this before, then you're in the right place. Salesforce files, right? The first thing. So if I go into my org, yeah, I'm in a classic, so you can do that in the Lightning. There's certain things I wanted to show you in classic. So let's go to the Lightning first, right? So the Salesforce files is where you upload and store your files, right? Uh, Obviously in the cloud. And the thing is that Salesforce is not a platform for file storage. I just wanted to mention that first. If you are using Salesforce as a file storage, then you're doing terribly wrong. You should be leveraging other clouds or other means to store the files. You can use AWS S3. That's one way you can store files. Like I store most of my files in S3 because AWS is a great cloud platform, or you can use Azure, right? If or you can use the Google Cloud. Salesforce is definitely not, because it costs you money. And now the reason why I mentioned the files, right? So there is a limitation. Obviously, you can store some of the files and attachments and kind of stuff, right? So it makes sense. But like for instance, um, you know, some people store in a SharePoint. That's one way you can do that using a utility. There's a 24 files software out there using which you can store your files to the SharePoint. That's one way. But I personally prefer to store a lot of files in S3, then I can use it in Salesforce the way I want, right? So it supports all file type, right? So if I go here, let's see if I can find files. So you can, org, and go to files, and you can upload files here, right? Now, there is a maximum file size, that's 2 GB. You just have to be careful about that. And that's pretty much when it comes to the files, right? Then you have, the content. So if you look at it, you obviously want, uh, you will find it here, something called content. Yeah, some initially, you're right, when they were migrating a lot of things to Lightning, a lot of functionalities were not available. So you could. Um, so that's one of the reasons why you were not able to find certain things. Now things have changed. Okay, so you can publish and share official, corporate files with coworkers. So that's one of the purpose. And now the few things you need to note about the content: a maximum file size 2 GB, 2 GB including headers when uploaded by Connect REST, 2 GB including headers when uploaded by REST API, then 38 MB using SOAP API. SOAP API, I just wanted to be careful, right? Because I know it's a legacy tech, but it's still in use, right? Some companies still use SOAP. Um, so yeah, but just good to know, right? And if you 10 MB, you might be using existing Visual Force and you wanted to upload something. Remember, this is a 10 MB, right? This is important for you to know, because if you're a consultant, if you're recommending something, you need to know at least, how the things works. And then we have a knowledge article, right? It's a part of it's a very important when it comes to, it's one of the core element of the Service Cloud, the Salesforce knowledge, where you create a knowledge base and you share the article with your customer, right? You can create a content, which is also known as articles, like I said, and and the common use, you can publish it. For instance, if you're selling a product, a customer wants to see a knowledge base. You can do that using um, Salesforce knowledge, right? It's not really, people don't really talk about knowledge in Sales Cloud, but I just wanted to talk about it either way. Maximum file size is 5 MB. Document tab, Obviously, but let's see if we have anything called document tab here. Okay, so let's go to Salesforce Lightning. Right, sorry, Classic. So you go here and you can create a document here, right? So it's usually store web resource such as logos. If you, yeah, this is where mostly you store, the web logos and kind of stuff. So there's a document tab and 5 MB, 20 KB for custom app logo. Yeah. Then you have attachment, right? Obviously, you might have used the files and attachment. Notes. If you go to the notes section, you can attach the document. Now, there are maximum file size, right? 2 GB for feed attachment to 25 MB for a file attachment. So this is important you to know. Like I said, right, before I started this session, it is a very simple topic. You might think it's not important. If you're 100% confident with it, you don't have to watch it. And if you stayed along, good for you. But from an exam point of view, like I said, you might get one or two odd questions, right, about the file size, about the limitations, right? So it's important to know because there's a part of certification. So that's why I wanted to cover. So that's all I wanted to cover in this episode. Hope you guys have an amazing Tuesday. Adios.